Here we are, my friends, determined as ever to reduce the size of this program. I think I've succeeded. I've completed the preparation over an hour ahead of when I normally finish, so this is massive progress. It's still an enormous show. So all to say, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful weekend as it continues to be beautiful out here over in Berlin, Germany. My name's Adrian Pocobelli, Artist Journal, March 18th, 2024. It continues. We are on the verge of spring, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. This is an international show. This goes out all around the world, excitingly. It doesn't get, it seems like it's not said enough that these YouTube shows are truly international shows. I watch the Italian news. I'm learning Italian, and I watch the Italian news here, just like my parents do. And shout out to Mom. And it's really interesting, isn't it? This isn't the TV we grew up with, which, we used to call it farmer vision. I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and which is a very agricultural land. We had our 3 channels. So all to say, a lot has changed, and as well, hopefully this show, again, I'm optimistic it's going to be shorter, even though there's an enormous amount of tabs. I hope it will, the experimentation continues. And again, I'm pretty optimistic on everything. So let's begin here. You know the artist, if you've been watching this show, this is Nuv 1914. She is based in Latin America. I'm not sure if it's Argentina or somewhere else. But I thought, what I found interesting about this work was, frankly, how beautiful it was. It kind of has the religious angle as well, which for me, I'm not a Christian, just for transparency on the whole discussion. But of course, it for me it references the history of art. Like, it makes me think of Italian painting to a certain degree. Angel de Noche, I think that's of the night. Angel of the night. I mean, it felt like a poetic work, and for visual reasons, we might say. And it also made me think, I asked myself, is Nuv 1914 evolving? Like, in a sense, in a weird, to put it more crudely, is Nuv 1914 getting better? And it's an interesting question. Let me make sure everything is working here. It's an interesting question, and one I frankly don't even want to really ask out loud, because I love the earlier works. But to me, this seems like there's evolution going on. Let's call it that, as this Angel de Noche seems to be blowing a trumpet here. Just a beautiful work, and all the experimentation we've been seeing, all of a sudden, you see edgier works, and we're going to see another one on Solana. The first, I guess you'd call it the Genesis mint there on Solana from Nuv 1914, which Kiro picked up. We're going to see that in a second. But you're seeing all the experimentation, I would say, pay off. And what's so interesting, perhaps, about this artist is there are all these decisions that one might think of as unaesthetic, not aesthetic. Say like this, as we see here. We'll see if we can zoom in. As we see here, but this artist manages to make it beautiful, is what I'm saying. Even little decisions like these weird gradients that we've been seeing, over and over, even the weird cutoff there, right? All of these irrational decisions are starting to come together, again, pushing the aesthetic frontiers. And now it's getting quite, in my mind, unambiguously beautiful. Particularly the color, the subtlety in the color. You see what looks like wings here. This light blue gray, versus just the kind of straight up white gray gradient. And then you see what looks like a ribbon. And then a slightly darker wing here, and the hair. I just found it beautiful. I mean, that's really, and look at the color of the green here. There's something just very beautiful about this work, is what I'm trying to say here. And it stood on the market for only 9 Tezos for this one of one for over a day. This was minted 2 days ago and picked up only 9 hours ago. So maybe a day and a half. This beautiful one of one from Nuv 1914 was available. So anybody could have picked this up. Again, though, these radical decisions here of leaving in just these little fragments of digital layer So again, just a really interesting artist. Again, it's like this, it's like a contradiction. Maybe this is part of what kind of excites me about this artist. It's this contradiction, this aesthetic contradiction, where you see little decisions like this that feel like true errors if you don't know the artist. Or you go like, surely they couldn't have done that on purpose, or, what I also call irrational. But when you see it all being done on purpose, I guess what impresses me is how beautiful this is. Using all of these very, again, I would call experimental techniques here. So even just creating the angel out of gradients, you could argue. Look at this background. So again, look at this corner here. This embracing of the irrational, which I've commented on before, is just beautiful. And you even see it, you could argue, with this gradient that is repeated over and over. This isn't necessarily what you'd traditionally think of. I mean, these gradients aren't really used that much in this way. Dan Control also uses them. But they're not really used in this way very often because, again, they're not seen as necessarily the most aesthetic ways of getting a gradient. You don't see a ton of buttons on websites with this kind of, round shadow. But Nuv 1914 has pushed through onto this, broken through to the other side here. And now I think we get quite a beautiful work, interestingly. A challenging and beautiful work. So Angel of the Night, I think, Angel de Noche. I'm not studying Spanish, so I cannot pronounce that. De Diamante. This was on exchange.art. And again, Kiro picked this up here. So again, we see this experimentation here with this, whatever this contraption is. Looks like a abstract, could be an object, right? Again, it resists rationality, these edges. That's not easy. It's not easy to make things that you don't think are... When you're working, you tend to want things to look beautiful. You could argue that is a kind of rationalizing of the image, of trying to make it beautiful. There's a reason there. The reason that you're doing a thing a certain way is because you're trying to make it look good. So I'm going to make, let's say the body in proportion, rather than the head 7 times bigger, right? The reason is because I want it to look, kind of close to reality, and I also want it to look good. So if I put a massive head, now you can do that. Some people do that, right? But then it's like it's more of a challenge. Again, it's starting to embrace the irrational. Look at this grand blue gradient there. So just another kind of just really interesting, challenging art from Nuv 1914, and there's DJ Kiro picking it up for half a sol on primary. So congrats to both. So let's look at the comments here on the last show there, number 310. Saiko, thank you so much for reviewing about Art Fair Tokyo and my new AI image. You're totally right. Negative comments will be decreased when the crypto becomes part of our daily life. I wonder, and crypto is a word that, I remember seeing an interview with Larry Summers, I think he was former Treasury Secretary under Obama, wants to be on the Federal Reserve. I think he wants to be chairman. Anyways, I saw him interviewed about a year and a half ago. And it was about, what about crypto? The interviewer was asking Larry Summers, and Larry Summers said, well, first of all, the problem is the word, the word crypto, and I sometimes wonder, they tried with blockchain to get away from the word crypto, so it's interesting, but nevertheless, crypto, it's kind of an interesting word. But anyways, let's continue here. Also, most of the people who are skeptical were elderly people. Some were probably physical art collectors. Right, and what Seiko is referring to was in her tweet from last show, she was saying there was a lot of negativity and skepticism towards this idea, I think it was at Art Fair Tokyo, that, they didn't understand the technology and really what blockchain had to offer, crypto, which is a way to credibly buy and sell digital art. So they were still in the kind of what you'd call the pre-NFT mindset, where it's like, well, which I shared very much. Well, what do you mean you're selling a JPEG on a USB? And a lot of digital artists, even to this day, will still, put that as a legitimate way of selling digital art. And I think of Lorna Mills, who I totally admire and respect as an artist, the real deal. Lorna Mills, authentic. But I'm a little more skeptical on this whole idea of, and I always have been, since before NFTs even existed, which is why I was always trying to make my work physical, which is this idea of I'm going to put a limited edition and then I'm going to put it on a USB and then there's only going to be 5 and then you're just going to have to, I guess, trust me on that one. I guess that's how it works. And maybe I don't understand entirely. So all to say, the physical art collectors, who sounds like they were elderly people, seems like they were still wanted to make the jump or hadn't made the intellectual leap and maybe just weren't exposed to it. To a certain degree, I mean, crypto is weirdly a subculture and totally mainstream at the same time. Very interestingly. A kind of a sign of the fragmentation of we're all kind of on the internet, but there's still this weird fragmentation of subcultures, you could say. Now, finally on this point, this could be really extraordinarily bullish, though. I actually got a message just an hour ago from a friend who showed me a post that said he's a photographer. And he was saying, and I'd been talking to him for over a year, saying, you should really put some work on Tezos. There's not a ton of photographers on Tezos. It's like low commitment, put a few works up, maybe start selling, maybe get excited about it. So interestingly, why I say this is bullish is, first of all, it's kind of brings you back to 2021 where you're starting to hear from friends, right? Who are not normally crypto people, are saying, I just heard about this guy that made $30,000 selling his photographs. What about this crypto thing? And we also have the physical art collectors here, so-called elderly people who haven't figured out yet this crypto thing and the NFT thing, who just probably aren't aware if they're still going, well, how is this possible? And you can't, can you do that? Right? So, which suggests that there could be an enormous amount of onboarding to do. In other words, this market and really what we're in right now, this aquarium, this bubble that we are in, again, this remarkably small scene may, in fact, be just that. Like people say you're still early to a certain degree. When you see comments like this, it's tempting to agree. When I start getting messages from friends who are all of a sudden taking it seriously again, you start to go, all of a sudden you've been putting your work up there for 2 or 3 years, 4, maybe in some cases, right? Or more in rare cases, right? So all to say, very interesting feedback. And it was interesting to hear directly why they don't buy digital art. It means there's a lot of possibilities if we change the presentation. They were very interested in digital art, right? So I think it comes back to this, onboarding of crypto. And again, the social proof that this Bitcoin ETF provides may, really impact us as artists, interestingly, and, kind of common-sensedly. Thank you for the comments, Psycho. Great to hear from you and great to hear your response and observations. Rosatio, going to dig into the Getty Museum's newly released thousands of CCO works for my art material ASAP. Thanks for sharing that, Adrian. My pleasure, Rosatio, and great to hear from you. And I need to, one of the things I'm trying to do, and I think I'll try and do that today, is post the links to the news stories in the community. Sometimes I forget to do that, but that's one of the things I want to do. So, for example, that Getty Museum piece, I want to post that in the community. So people, because I'm not going to put it at the bottom of the YouTube video every time, and maybe if you're watching this on Twitter or X, which a lot of people do, where are you going to get the links to the stories? Then I can just say, find them in the community. So thank you for the comments, both Psycho and Rosatio, and also on X here. Thank you for the wonderful response here. Fandango, Lynch homage in the beginning where you give a shout out to the weather. Don't worry too much about other people's opinion when you're showcasing art to the world. Your work is important and it's seen. Take your time with it. Artist Journal is your own little work of art. Indeed it is. It is an artist journal. And I should say, like I did start with the topic of anger and upset expectations. Nobody was complaining to me, by the way. I got a couple of comments about like, don't listen to the haters there. Nobody complained, as far like at least not to me. I was just saying, setting expectations in case today's show turns out to be half an hour, which clearly it's not going to be with my ongoing editorial here. So thank you for the wonderful comment, Fandango. Great to hear from you. And yes, and this is hilarious. For those that are wondering what Fandango is talking about, I checked this out. David Lynch does the weather. So that is hilarious. No, I hadn't seen that, and that is hilarious. Danita Push, whoa, wow, new release, gonna listen with pleasure, thank you. Rustlin, thanks for all the work you're doing. My pleasure, Rustlin, and I think we have a work by you this episode. Yacht, great to hear from you. Maybe we have a work from Yacht as well. Saeed, thank you for doing this, my pleasure. Wojak, have missed quite a few episodes due to a busy schedule at work. Need to catch up, keep up the good work. Yeah, one of the reasons I want to shorten this show, because I want people to be able to watch it. Right? Like, not everybody has 4.5 hours a week to watch, 3 1.5 hour episodes. Great to hear, Wojak. Great to hear from you. Lucas Lejeune, awesome to hear from you. Gons, thank you very much, Adrian, for giving your perspective and to spread to the world. I wish you a good one. Thank you, Gons. And I think we have a work by you as well. XYZ, great one. A, thank you for the comment. Sonic, great to hear from you. Cedar Plank, a.k.a. Hasdrubal Waffle. Thank you, Pocobelli. The software is a tricky one because it's a beta version that has crashy bugs. One layer and no undo option available. And sometimes this can be a wonderful way to work. Who was it? Maybe literally like 200 episodes ago, we were talking about undo and this idea of not using the undo button. The undo button is revolutionary, which is what we discussed again many moons ago. And so here with this, I think Fantavision, if I'm not mistaken, Hasdrubal or Cedar Plank, Cedar is using here. There is no undo, one layer, so massive limitations. And sometimes that's a wonderful way to work. I mean, there are, I have worked, say, in the Stories series, sometimes which Secret History of World War III and crypto, screenshots of the news and of whatever, of the internet. That is one of the ways I work, which is not using undo. So if I make a mark on the phone, let's say if I'm working on the phone and then it's a mistake, I'll use paint to cover that up as if I'm painting rather than doing undo. And then that kind of adds to the texture and the organic feeling of the work. So it can be a nice way to work is all to say. So have to be a frugal with mark making as it can run away quickly, especially if it's crashy. Glad you dug it. Have a fun weekend, amigos. So yeah, indeed, Cedar Plank just making it look easy, which is a nice quality. In the work when it looks like it's just made effortlessly. Kel's great one, Adrian. Make the shows as long as they have to be. You in flow mode is everything. You in flow mode is everything. I definitely felt the flow in the last episode. I felt total flow. So really great feedback there, Kels. Also, many of us would kill for your hair, so all good. Well, thank you. Thank you. It continues, the hair here, so much appreciated, Kels. Awesome to hear from you as ever. Zani Yagar, thank you to hear. Great to hear from you. Lonewick, just started watching. Your excitement when talking about Ilay's Maskers 1 is contagious. Hope everybody gets a chance to find art they respond to in this way. Indeed, and great to hear from you, Lonewick. Helio Santos, awesome to hear from you. One of one. Mate, if anyone tries to stop your right to experiment in this space... So anyways, people got my back here, and I totally appreciate it. So great to hear from One of One, great collectors there on Tezos, and have all sorts of initiatives out of Taiwan and New York, Taipei and New York, I believe. Denise Sanchez, awesome to hear from you. Ilay, great to hear from you. And Olga Elisu, didn't finish yet, but we'll come back to see the end. Now, Ilay had some comments. They are in, sometimes I miss the retweets with the comments. As you can see here, it's hard for me to see. On the phone, I can see them, though. And I see them in the feed, but that's why I often don't feature the retweets, because it's just a preparation thing. But I'm going to try and find that for next show, because Ilay had commentary on this work here, but I have to get it weirdly from the phone. Also here, just like this. All right, so I got this as a bookmark on my phone. Thanks, Pocobelli, for taking the time and attention to our curation. So if you remember this... this is the GLB exhibition here. The curation is a bridge between Collector SH, which is a Solana tool for collectors, and the curator, allowing the curator to receive fees for the curation. This is an important step to enable the next curations in the collector. A curatorial text was made about the concept of ancient tokens and also talking about each piece individually. So bridging the gap to Third Land, which is a marketplace and also a metaverse where we use this virtual gallery provided by the marketplace. So gallery created and sold in the Silly token. I'm very confident about the future of these curatorships and excited for the next work. 17 incredible artists donated their time, and I couldn't be prouder and happier to bring these artists together, fostering communities and bringing the eyes of Solana to the incredible Tezos artist. So the multi-chain here continues, as we're going to see here, quite interestingly. And it was NFT Spritz. Go give NFT Spritz a follow. Account suspended. How is that possible? NFT Spritz. Maybe that's just, I wonder if that's for real. Account suspended. Well, I was going to say NFT Spritz gifted. That's hard to imagine. Who knows what NFT Spritz did for that, though. But anyway, just a big thank you again to NFT Spritz for gifting this flamenco dancer here for my mom. So shout out to Mom and to NFT Spritz for this awesome work from Nuv 1914. Does it again. So yes, indeed, August NFT Spritz gifted this to me, this beautiful one of one. In August, I still need to reach out to you about doing a space, and NFT Spritz, hope the Twitter account comes back. And also, thank you everybody. Again, this is the community here. Thank you everybody for posting here. I am picking up works here. And also, if you don't see your work here that you posted, it gets on, at least if you're interested, like it does get on my radar, and I start to pay attention to what people are doing when you post your work here. So awesome to hear from Austin, kind of cool pixel art work, and just a cool place to hang out. And again, I want to start putting links in here too from the show, just to kind of add value to the whole community. So thank you, everybody. I think we have a work from Macro G Mitraille in this show as well. This was posted in the community. Chrome Void. I didn't see this. And I was wondering, why is this? I'm a holder of super rare tokens. It was just from the airdrop way back when. Because I had works that sold on super rare. Look at this. Super rare. Chrome Void posted this in the community. GM Ordinals from the super rare account. Of course, now we've been seeing this on multiple fronts here. We've been paying attention to it on this show. This idea that super rare is kind of putting in another push here. Because the token was getting really low, and there was a sense that they were being, I'd say just very loosely and generally, that they're being left behind a bit. So now they're kind of putting things back together. It seems like they're making another push to kind of reclaim the space to a certain degree, or their title is one of the main, if not the main, kind of one-of-one platforms. Now, this is interesting. So Killer Acid, of course, is a pretty well-known artist in the crypto digital art blockchain space, kind of what I'd say kind of loosely Zap Comics, Underground Comics, COMIX kind of style of artist, very psychedelic, of course. Look at this. So we've been following Nick at Gamma.io for a few weeks now. Look at this. Super rare and Gamma.io GM Ordinals. So it's hard not to be bullish enough on this space. And I just want Bitcoin to go down so I can mint on Ordinals cheaper. Now, the fees are low right now. And there is a timeline. So this is like definitely head-turning news. And of course they should be doing this. Right? I mean, we're speculating with Foundation. Why aren't, they were talking about going multi-chain. Is it Ordinals? The race is on, if you ask me. There's something about, again, art on Bitcoin that is just inherent. It's like gold, right? It's like there's something just, and it's this whole idea, true or not, that it's immutable, it's permanent, right? And so, so here's Nick from Gamma.io. If I were a creator with the resources to do this, I'd be inscribing as much art as I possibly could over the next few weeks. The halving is coming. We gotta mint art. Come the halvening, which means, for those that don't know, where Bitcoin miners are only, every 4 years, they only put out half the amount of Bitcoin that they put out the previous 4 years. So that means fees are probably going to get higher here. Come the halvening, expect months of face-melting fees that make it nearly impossible to inscribe images. But you have tons of art ready to go. So I think it's April 17th, if I had to just pick, which is exactly in a month. It's March 18th today. So you have a month. Fees are cheap too. These are pretty good fees. I saw 9 sats per VB this morning. So yeah, another timeline here for you. Get your art on Bitcoin. Lucrece, Bitmon minting on Magic Eden. So here we go. More Bitcoin art on Bitcoin. It's time from Lucrece. So March 18th, 5 p.m. So that's today, Eastern there. So that's actually right now. Shall we look? So Magic Eden on Bitcoin. Shall we look quickly here? And let me see if I can do this. Magic Eden. And we'll see if we can find if we can find it. Bitmon trainers. Unless it's this thing. These look like Solana. We need to go here, and then we need to choose Bitcoin. And finally, we'll try it one more time here. I don't see it. We'll try Lucrece. Yeah, so you got to be a collection here. Oh, here, Between Worlds. And look at this. Well, putting out lots of work. These are 1 Bitcoin, unlisted. So, it's kind of like the pioneers going west over America, in search. This is basically new territory here. To explore and to really make your fortune on. Like those people, like it's a gold rush. One could argue as an artist, and you may only have a month to go before things get kind of prohibitively expensive. Let's continue here. Cosimo de' Medici. So putting out kind of so Cosimo de' Medici, kind of I would say, for lack of a better term, the kingpin, let's say, of ETH art collecting. The most prominent art collector was in the Taschen book, just made that $500,000 purchase that we're looking at last episode of the X copy. Major ETH kind of art collector. This is interesting. Strong chance Sol flips ETH this summer. So put out a pro Solana, you might say. I don't know if I'd say it's pro Solana, but study Cardano loving normies untainted by Samcoin seeking land in the new Las Vegas, where some may build the next Cash App or Roblox. So almost talking about Solana as I'm talking about Bitcoin to a certain degree. Art on Bitcoin. I still own, so I think got a lot of pushback on that because there are 135,000 views. There are a lot of what I'd call ETH maxis, but interestingly, what we saw was super rare. It's interesting. A lot does come down to decentralization when there's pushback on Sol, but a lot of what you might call Ethereum maximalists, they're still basically okay with Bitcoin because it's decentralized, if not more so than Ethereum. But Sol, this is where the skepticism with Sol comes in. So there tends to be a lot of pushback with pro-Sol from the ETH community. I still own more ETH assets than I do Sol. An interesting statement in itself. Still bullish, both will do fine. Right, but if you're looking to multiply your money, people are thinking Sol right now, right? But I feel the normie onboarding blitz on Sol in the coming months will be unprecedented. Last week, 691,000 new Sol wallets sprang in a single day. I'm not sure how much. I'm kind of skeptical of a lot of these numbers. I think half the time these can be bots that are airdrop farming. And I care not which chains onboard the world, only that they come. So more multi-chain admissions, really. Maybe that's not the right word. More multi-chain, it's a multi-chain world that is being embraced here by Cosmo and by Super Rare, who might have traditionally been seen as kind of, one would be tempted to put them in kind of a ETH category, especially super rare. Now, interestingly, turning to Tezos here, Andre Fuchs, those statistics are truly painful. The Tezos Foundation must invest promptly to maintain relevance. Is Tezos still the leading digital art blockchain, or have others taken over? If Gamma figures out how to mint, like they're doing the lazy mint right now, but even to collect, that's probably expensive right now. But if they figure out post-halvening how to still keep it cheap, let's say, like that's a wild collab that we saw between Super Rare and Gamma that's coming in like 3 weeks. Yeah, like Tezos, like again, I think artists follow the money to a certain degree. And as long, the good thing about Tezos is there is a regular, it's kind of bread and butter income, you might say, for a lot of artists in the crypto space. So I don't think it's disappearing. And I don't know if this volume is just on, one artist's work or what, but I mean, it's not a great graph here, is it? Hen platform combines, so this is Hen. Now, Hen, of course, not everybody is minting on Hen right now, on the Hen contract, if that's what this is. So again, I'm not sure, is this object.com though? Like if, I don't know, like is that the volume on object.com? Because if that's the case, okay, that could be an issue there. So interesting. KF, Kyle Flemmer commenting, trading volume down, it's time to abandon Tezos, right? Exactly. No, it's not, in the sense that it still provides, if you want like $50 to get groceries, as Sky Goodman said like a year and a half ago, I can't think of a better place where you're kind of going to get more reliable, income than Tezos, even Zora, so even compared to Zora. Zora's pretty good. So all to say, interesting, a very dynamic space here. Let's continue. Zach, one thing I learned in crypto over the last few years is you must not get hung up on how much money you could have made if you just did XYZ. This will cause massive psychic damage. Don't do it. Do whatever ritual you need to release that thought and just keep moving forward. And yeah, I think the important thing is, like, again, I just lost a ordinal. I don't even know how. It got transferred out of my wallet, I think, when I did a transaction, and then I was on the Unisat wallet rather than Xverse, and I think it spent my ordinal. That's now worth, if I had held on to it, that Bitcoin puppet, it's probably worth 15,000 now. At the time, it was worth 5, I think. So yeah, it was worth about like $4,500. So all to say, I could feel bad about that, and it did feel bad for about a day. But what I've learned about crypto is there's always a second chance in crypto, and within like weeks, not even months, all of a sudden, you had, very important point here, because I had minted the 3 or 4 ordinals just on my personal wallet, then I got the Rune airdrop, and that's worth like what, 3,000, whatever that's worth, So all of a sudden, the Rune Stone. So all to say, there's always a second chance. So if your wallet gets busted, bad things happen, it's a great space. Just keep moving forward, as Zach says. And there's always a second chance, at least now during the Wild West here. So, and it could happen much faster than you think. Shilly Preston, I just wanted to let everyone know that I've been able to come up with enough funds to move my family into a permanent place. I can't thank all of you enough. I wouldn't have been able to do it without all of your help. Thank you so much. So a beautiful post there from Shirley Preston, who is falling on mega hard times, homeless, with a family. Unbelievable. Mech.txt. My first time being featured on NFT Now. Stoked and made my Sunday with this wholesome feature. My special attention to Matt Medved for the beautifully written interview and aptly composed article. My greatest gratitude to you and the whole NFT Now team. So big congrats to Michael Micasso here. So a nice write-up here in NFT Now. So again, an artist we've been discussing here for, quite a while. So it's great to see, again, I consider this kind of, for lack of a better term, more mainstream crypto culture here. Nice feature and interview. So congrats to Michael Micasso. Also here, and I of course follow Michael Micasso, that is a glitch on X when you open a million tabs. Monomech, so there is an update on the font here. And just again to show you this, these numbers correlate. As you see here, there's 4 Bs, and then you see 4 of these tiles here. So as you see, 99, those are those 2 houses here. So just super cool and nice little white frame there. So there is a new update to Monomech, the interesting visual font using glyphs by mech.txt, also known as Michael Micasso. Demon Ego, what a week it was. First, a great award in the Optimism competition. Then our work selected for Beeple Studios' new exhibition, a new exhibition in New York, a great project that I can't tell yet, Ponder Group Drop, and a special project that I'm involved in today. I'm grateful. And again, it's kind of back to this, because I think Demon Ego, it wasn't super loud, the account from, let's say, November to January. And I remember at January, it's going to try some new stuff. So again, this space is unlike any other space in how fast things can happen, likely because of just the internet and virality and the money that is involved in this space. All of those things coming together, if you're down on your luck, just hang in there and, your life could be completely different in 2 weeks or 2 months. So gotta love that kind of eternal, hope that this space has been bringing so far. So again, a land of second chances, Limbo. So again, a account that kind of went quiet is coming back here, so bullish about pixel horror art. And of course, there's the great 1-bit Necro. Very refined crypto art. So yes, wonderful genre. I think this arrow of my art journey is probably the one that gets me more excited about the endless sea of possibilities that is opening ahead of me. While some folks may prefer my raster work, I haven't felt so passionate about my craft in ages. All I've learned in 3 years of NFT making is being poured into this new series. I'm not looking for mainstream success, but the sole fact that I saw a few folks genuinely excited keeps firing my imagination as possibly never before. If you're new to the series, out my 2 latest object drops to have an idea of what I'm talking. Check out my 2 latest object drops. Check it out. So again, most artists in the contemporary world, contemporary art trad scene, they work in their studios. Maybe if they have studio mates, they see that. But basically their work, they put it on Instagram. Maybe they get a few likes, and that's it. Here, you have a whole world in front of you as your audience here. A global audience, amazingly. Spiegels, another wonderful international artist here. Spiegels Maskinen, I believe out of Denmark, Copenhagen, if I'm not mistaken. GM in the Entheogenic Garden. So just a little bit, almost looks like a wonderful Christmas work. Some fancy synth music there, and some of Spiegel's kind of custom-made screens there, or seemingly. Now, Lorna Mills, Cerebral Concrete from the collection of NFT museum art in, still don't know where this is. I assume Deutschland. Where is DE? A week of my works projected in the Jenoptik building, 2-sided for 7 evenings, created by Robert Seidel Com. So here, just another shot of Lorna Mills' work projected on the side of an apartment building. So too hilarious, pretty interesting, provocative work there. This was awesome too. So we had Neutro on last episode for the space. Thank you for the warm welcome, Argentina. And Zach was saying a couple of weeks ago, who was on the space, that Zach was going to Argentina to visit with Neutro Arts. So Zach is in Argentina, and a wonderful welcome here. That looks like Pomelo there, and there is the Neutro Arts team. So just having a blast out there. And look at that, and just look at that wonderful spread there. Just leave it on that one. And there is Mentalist 420. So that is super cool. Kayla Mattis. So remember that wonderful Weaver that we saw who's doing the doom scrolling show? A couple of things. First of all, this is at the MSU Broad Art. So the Michigan State University, I thought this was at the Broad in LA, which is actually pretty interesting. I was like, oh, when I saw that she was what I thought was at the Broad in LA, I was like, oh, the system is working. This is, but no, this is actually Michigan State University. And thank you to DJ Kiro for letting me know that, because I think Kiro is both in LA and Detroit. So he's like, oh, I want to check out that exhibition. And he's like, just so you know, it's in Michigan State University Broad, not the Broad. So here, all to say, is a installation shot. We got some great installation shots of this brilliant, brilliant talent here, Kayla Mattis. So just really, really cool. This is pretty fun too. Playing with the search, right? And, you know, you put in a couple of letters and all of a sudden you get all these suggestions. A wonderful subject. I've actually worked with that subject. So again, just awesome internet art here. Awesome, awesome. Nice shots here too. Not a huge show. And there are these insanely beautiful works from, talent, a mega talent here. Look at this. So just beautiful. So just update on there. The installation, element lead, techniques, and expression. So I think we saw a blue version of this, didn't we? Which also excites. That's super exciting because why not? Again, it's this Warhol mentality. We'll make a green one. Let's make a pink one. Here, okay, we'll paint the cardboard pink. I'm not exactly sure exactly how this is being done, though, because you'll see actually pixelation in here. There's colored pixelation. So you see how the pink... So I assume it's been painted pink, and then maybe it's lightly, this is laser engraving. I assume it's lightly burned, so that just the paint burns, and then it leaves the cardboard. Otherwise, I have no idea how this is made. And then there's the green. So again, techniques and expression. This is supposed to be cracked ice, by the way. Look at this. So just super fascinating from Element Lee. We have another work by Element Lee in this show. Strano, more physicals here. As we see, this looks like more plotting. And nice kind of addition there. Cool composition. Up, down, up, down, repeat. And again, back to the softer side of our friend Acid Boy, Pat Canton. Here, Acid Boy actually sent me the link to the website where you can find the paintings here. So here is, again, I wonder if this is en plein air, Acid Boy en plein air, in outside, you know, just doing painting there. Again, so again, another window on the softer side of Acid Boy's oeuvre and personality. So thank you for sending me that. Into the works we go. So look at this. How many of you saw this? Ed Marola. This is so moving. I mean, only half done here. You know, J.G. Ballard, when he said he read Naked Lunch by William Burroughs for the first time, he said he got up and cheered. He got up and cheered, and that's kind of what this reminds me of. If I was to see this in your local, at the Broad in LA, I'd want to get up and cheer. So, all to say, look at this. I mean, hilarious. The music is amazing. So just amazing work here from Ed Marola. Eduardo Pulitzer on Zora, Terzetta number 38 by J.S. Bach, performed by Suzanne Violetta. Only 10 minted. And this is available for Another 28 days, so just pick that up on Zora. Now this looks like a fragment here from Rada, but I'm not sure. I assume this is a part of a work here that Rada is working on. It looks like a pirate ship here, and here is the Rada kind of character here fighting, what look like British soldiers here on the ship. So just a beautiful window into Rada's work here. And as you can see, every pixel thought through here. And you can totally tell if this wasn't, if I didn't see the Rada account and you asked me who the artist was, it'd be so easy to tell, even if I couldn't see the rat. It would just be, so a very recognizable style. Another great pixel artist here, mech.txt, Michael Micasso, who we were looking at earlier. This is called Order, part of Block by Block exhibition by Goat Gallery in Toronto. So this is 350 by 350 magnified by 10. Interesting kind of frame here. There's kind of a framing which is not your typical pixel art, is it? And then in the middle you get the square pixel art with what looks like maybe Cicero or something, with light coming off, these rays of light raising from the, there's a Goa trance track that I heard when I was just kind of learning about that. It was from like 94. I was probably listening in 96 or something. And it had this repetition, lines of light raised from the non-space of the mind. And this is what that reminds me of. And so there we go. So beautiful work by Michael Micasso. That is on, so now it's 66 Tezos, so selling out at I think 22 for an edition of 20. So nice work there. Here's Dustic, another Object 98 work, this time with basketball. So another just super cool painting using the retro Microsoft Paint. Nice blue hair here, really nice painter. Nice subject matter. Remember, did the beach last time? Those two really interesting beach shots. Edition of 1. And remember these beach shots here. Let's just see what that sold for. And it sold for a song. 1 Tezos. Amazing. And then burnt the other 9. Okay, so sometimes it pays to buy with conviction on just a work you like, and then sometimes the artist burns it. This is an edition of 1. This is Wasteman Goldminovich, failed artist number 78, self-portrait, A Job's a Job. So after, I think, getting fired from McDonald's, the failed artist is now protesting here, big cheese, and so just another hilarious work here. I'm not sure what the BC, Burger King, no. So not sure, maybe some fry hair, and so just a classic McDonald's cigarette. And there, the cast and everything. Another classic here from Wasteman Goldminovich, just a rad artist. I was thinking to myself as I saw that, it's just like 78 works now. That is just a classic series of the digital art blockchain scene, that failed artist series, and what a universal subject that is, right? Pomelo, Palm Cigarettes, weird version. I thought I'd stick this in here because it kind of uses a similar brush to Wasteman's here, and just a kind of a simple work of cigarette cover with Pommel's name on it. And I thought just kind of an interesting work here. 33 Tezos cents, edition of 50, only one purchase so far. And this is interesting. So, of course, this is Uxine, who, of course, I follow. So, interesting. Uxine's working a little rougher here, or looser, as my friend always corrects me on. Interesting work here. Kind of painterly, still painterly. Again, expanding the colors a little bit. Even the brush is a touch. This almost has a bit more of a oil pastel sort of look here, although he's been using that for a while. Interesting. Really nice detail there. Nice preview, I think, from Uxine. A couple of interesting works here from Dan Control. A couple of one-of-ones. So Dan sold previous one-of-ones for 250 Tezos each. Is very minimal. Again, reusing elements, right? The cigarettes have been made before. The scene has been made before. Now selling for 500 Tezos. So just trying to push it even further. A lighter, and also for 500 Tezos. So get the whole series for 1,000 Tezos. So interesting move. Provocative move from Dan Control. And we saw this one before, but we never saw it on Zora. And so this is PP Universal, and you only have a few hours to get it. You have 14 hours to get it, and only 9 minted. I thought this is a really interesting and beautiful work here by PP Universal, so just wanted to highlight that. A couple of works by Gozo. Bone Study #1. Kind of a Geiger feel, but not entirely. Kind of organic, just surreal work. And here as well with a nice color orange, Bone Study #2. So interesting works put out by Gozo. Nice textures there as usual. And then here's Cider. Kind of want to say this is Mark Zuckerberg almost with like a goalie mask or something, or Mark Zuckerberg just by himself. Just something light. So, and then we have Mike Tyson. I'm not sure if we've seen this before. The Mike Tyson. But anyway, a couple of very cool black and white portraits here from Cider. Continuing on, Ilya Bliznet's GM, entertaining myself, 1 of 1 for 2 salts. So interesting work here put by Ilya. And this is just posted on X. I didn't see a link. So it's always, some people say it affects the reach, but I think it's still worth it. Just from my opinion. People need to do what they want to do. But I think it still helps to put the link. As Nick was mentioning on a previous, the penalty I don't think is massive. And I think the benefit is huge. So all to say, interesting digital painting here from Ilya Bliznet. Nice and painterly here in the pink, especially. Martin Bruce, just with an interesting work. I'm not sure if I've seen this before. It kind of looks like a piano player, but playing 2 computers, 2 retro computers. Just kind of a wild work here. Experimental work from Martin Bruce. Interesting symmetry. Zozo on Zora. Thank you for your hard work. Take a good rest today. So another super interesting work. Only 4 minted so far. And how this might be an open mint. Mint started March 16th. Artwork takes a lot of time and creative effort to create something new and beautiful, but at the end of the day, it is worth it because, as a friend said, to see something beautiful is as if someone tells you that you can save yourself. Well, Zozo is one of the most original artists, I would argue, on the blockchain. Here's another work by Zozo, Ventata Abierta, and couldn't you just see this hanging in the same show as an of 1914 work? It's almost tempting to say they're the same artist, but I don't think they are. But you have the same courage. The same boldness is found in both artists. So interesting. Half a sol, $100, and they've collaborated as well. Again, you start to get tempted to say they're maybe the same person, but they're probably not. Santiago, person building, AI, GIMP, and digital collage. So just some interesting work here from Santiago, abstract, using AI. I love the negative space here, this yellow. I don't know what it is with these weird negative spaces here, but there's something about them, and I think it's the contrast. And there is a poetry as well. I should probably speed up in order to not provoke the computer gods here. There's also, with the emptiness here and the busyness, there is a nice contrast that happens. These are more organic colors. This is kind of a bright computer color. Person building, very cool title. And that sold, or just burned. Burned and not sold. I Used to Feel Love, edition of 2, and this sold out at 5 Tezos. And here is the work, and probably a similar art just using P5.js. So again, you see this almost like the Waffles tool, but with a bit more texture, interestingly. And let's continue. Gaspard de la Guerre with an interesting abstract here. Looks like a digital art abstract here using digital brushes. Interesting work. Perseus, this is edition of 10 for 5 Tezos each. And again, these kind of digital brushes here. Almost like fills, almost vector, but not sure. Kind of has, it's almost like in between a Mumble Boy and a Santiago. You could put a work from Gaspard de la Guerre. Let's continue. Denise Sanchez could also hang in this show. This looks like a physical. I think it's a scan. And of course, we see the great technique where you just put some color and then you ignore the color you've put at the bottom layer and then you just start working again, and it's instant poetry here. Nice work here, not too many colors, it's perfect. Collage Rebellion Pinball by Denise Sanchez. That is on Zora, and here's Luciana Guerra. I'll try to add color to this Saturday. So it looks like a work in progress here. So more interesting abstracts in this scene here. Here's Yuri J Work hard and one day you'll be ready for this. So again, kind of a combination of abstraction and representation here. Pretty experimental with this bed. Oh, it's a bed. It's like a bunk bed inside. Wow. So it's actually representational. Pretty wild work. I think I'm ready for it. Continuing on, Santiago Ruao, also known as Ashen, on Object, River of Light, edition of 1, and this sold for 10 Tezos. And let's just take a closer look. So here we see some very interesting brush strokes here. Interesting, with the gradients going across, almost ignoring the brush strokes, the direction of the brush strokes. Cool work there from Santiago Ruao. And here's Juana Pedro. This is on Zora. Again, no links, so we'll just look at it on X here. Just more interesting abstracts here. Almost looks like a landscape, almost looks like an animal, but more just an abstract. Here is Ranixdeer with a wonderful, minimal artwork here. Beautiful color, the blue and the red and the black and everything. Cool composition too. This is on MCHX, so good. This is on Zora, 11 have been minted, available for another 28 days. Beautiful. Beautiful. And here is Mikkel Noelsen from the ongoing collab with Evelyn O. Been looking at this one a lot lately. I get lost in it. The disparate colors, the tension between its flatness and dynamic depth, the stored history, warped and cryptic evidence, a thing not trying to be another thing. And there is a lot of beautiful mark making on here, isn't there? And combination, all sorts of stuff going on here. So interesting experimentation. And we have another one from them. This is another collab with Evelyn O, a process of prompted AI images to digital collage through pixels to vertices and back to pixels. You know, just like Santiago working on AI, incorporating AI into abstraction, interestingly. So back and forth between two artists who never met but share a journey in digital space. Life is weird indeed, and nice looking work here. So the collab is looking good. And here's Braun. Similar colors, you could hang this in the same room. Screenbreaker, 03. So a new pixel art abstract here from Braun. So all sorts of interesting abstraction going on here. And also Macrometrie, Impossibile, with a minimal abstract work here, just two colors, interesting shapes together there. Edition of 24, 2 gone at a Tezos each. And here's Katarina Create, Inner Garden. So a person, we're seeing the plants on the faces, on the heads, and now a person made of plants, seemingly, of flowers. So cool work here. And that is called Inner Garden, and that is an edition of 10 for 3 Tezos. And how many are left here? And it's all sold out, so now on secondary, as far as I can tell. Haste, this is also Jake Studios. And I think what's the gun switching from different, like, tickets to laser to sparkles and everything with the heist here. Cool work here, as ever, from Jake Studios. Looks like a work in progress, maybe. And here's another one, also from Jake Studios, who I do follow. And so kind of playing maybe with this heist theme a little bit. And there are the clouds with some rasterizing on the background there. Continuing on, Lewis Harriet, this is on Instagram that I saw this. I think a blockchain artist, but I'm not positive. Just a nice drawing, though, which would fit really nicely. And kind of a surreal, it's back to the surreal illustration category. Interesting colors here, too. It looks like a huge moon and the person smaller than the wolf. And here's Morlakos, the Humble. So a couple of works here. This is a 1 of 1 for 50 Tezos by Morlakos, and there's another in the series here, and this is the Recollector, also for 50 Tezos, a 1 of 1 available. So cool work there by Morlakos, part of a new series, I think. John McKay, the Assassin, this is by Uyo66, again playing with the kind of red and blue 3D vibe from the old 3D glasses you used to get. So interesting series continues, and this is an edition of 1, and bidding is at 20 Tezos. And here on exchange.art is Daniel W. So and this is going for half a sol, and here is, and I think continuing with the corporate series, I believe, and this is called The Cafeteria, and a figure here at a lonely cafeteria with one table here. Classic CMYK colors there. And here is Françoise Gamma with a really rad work here, Syntax Error, Gotta love this. And just cool programming text. Almost looks like Apple IIe style. Maybe that's the green, though. That is evoking that for me. This is an edition of 30 for 3 Tezos and a few bought so far. Really nice piece. Here's another one, P5 by Françoise Gamma. So again, endless experimentation, beautiful colors. And here's another one looking like it's using the same shape. And that's 3 Tezos edition of 20 P6B. So not afraid to just find something that looks good, release it, find another thing that looks good. There's a lot to be said for that. You know, because as you see it day after day, a massive body of work is being built, and there's a credibility, as I always say, in having a huge body of work. So I really admire this way of going about it. Bitomoyo. This is by P1, so we're back to the kind of the stained glass patterning here. As we hit the hour mark, I think we're going to do well here today. So more interesting pixel art here by P1, edition of 10 for 2 Tezos, 1 sold. And Cream Safa just posting a cool looking GIF here, black and white, on X, so that is cool. And continuing on, Element Lee, we looked at the cardboard before. Here's the digital work, and again, I think made all on a phone. And we're kind of back to this visual field thing, and I don't think we looked at this one. I think this is a different one. And as you see, the edges of your visual field, it just, playing with that as a way of composition, playing with your vision with this beautiful experimental pixel art here. Very nice work here. Leave blankness with nature. It's nice color. For someone that's been super minimal with color, the color coming in is quite beautiful. Here is Brain Dead, Maze Plotter. And here, so we have a couple of works here, and you almost see an interesting kind of printing over the brain and comparing it to a maze here. Pretty cool. That is, edition of 1, and sold for 30 Tezos. Nice work. And here's another one, Cage Plotter. And we see a Bible, and the egg turns into a caged egg, almost a la Magritte there. It's a very cool work there, edition of 1. Here is Gogolitis Technology. So again, it's easy to forget, or let's put it this way, it's important to remember. As digital artists on the blockchain here, we are part of a crypto scene here. And that is part of where all the benefits of being in this scene come from a financial point of view. And that should always be remembered. So a tip of the hat here from Gogolitis towards the great meme of the frog here in a pixel art work and giving Keck the pixel art treatment here. So beautiful work, and gotta love the eyes there. 13 Tezos cents, and just listed here when I loaded this up. It's probably sold out by now. Arts of Win, another interesting pixel artist that we've discovered on Instagram. As you can see here, interesting minimal animation, no background, really cool work, minimal color, keeping it very simple to great effect, I would argue. Bunny Girl Commission. Here's Argyle, who it's tempting to think is Nifty Monkey, but maybe just a similar kind of artist here. Press A kind of has a video game vibe to it, and you see all the kind of manicness of a Nifty Monkey work here with Argyle. And this is on Objects, so very interesting. Not sure if there's a relationship. Maybe they're different artists. Carnation, this is also Argyle, and this was posted last week, March 6th, so almost 2 weeks ago. So interesting work here, as we see these wild, the clock, the mushroom, the frog, Carnation, and this is 50 Tezos on secondary. It's sold out on primary. Let's see what this sold out for. Just taking in offers, so around 7 and 10. So probably a different artist, because I think Nifty Monkey would be pretty expensive. So different kind of artist, interesting. It's almost becoming a genre there. Manic pixel art. Tom Bombadil, Architeuthis. And maybe that's the name of this large octopus here, Teuthis. So cool sci-fi work here from Tom Bombadil. Nice minimal color here, underwater, just beautiful. And that is sold out at how much? At 4 Tezos 70. So nice work there. Now 17 Tezos on secondary. Kind of reminds you of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Anis Abdin, I'm drawing a pixel art animation every day in 2024. Here's day 77. The gallery at Beeple. So doing a homage really to the Beeple show that I think is going to be in New York at Beeple's studio there. So cool work by Anis Abdin here as usual. Kind of looks like an aquarium almost. And here, more fish. And here, almost like a billboard painter or almost like Michelangelo doing the Sistine Chapel here. New Ponder Wave 3-drop on Arzora. So new work here from Manidal. I don't think we've seen this one. Again, more 8-bit music with pixel art. So very cool and very fun work there. Let's continue to speed through this episode. Here's Chaz, Farm Story. So a minimal work here, and they're a retro, almost like a Commodore 64 with a TV screen. And there's an amp and everything. Just cool work here. That is edition 15 and still available, 11 still available. Here's Glitchtown Arcade with a couple of cool glitch ROMs here, Extra Time, or at least one. So cool glitch here, just fairly minimal, nice, just nice effect. That is 99 cents, edition of 30. And here's Silva Sand 2s with a nice piece here too, Vacation 2. So always a great theme here, palm trees and the sea and sunset. You gotta love it. So just a beautiful landscape here by Silva Sand 2s, glitch ROM. Gotta love it. This is quite beautiful. And this is an open edition for Tezos 30. And one more here from Silva Sand 2s. This is called Portal, and this is on Zora. That is a free mint, only one minted so far. And I think that's an open mint, if I'm not mistaken. And here is Ellie Lowe. And so kind of a wild fragment here. Someone fighting the storm. It's a cool work. Trash artist Ellie Lowe. VST synths, hand paint, and photo scan textures, modeling, VHS and digital glitches, layering. So a ton goes into this. Edition of 10, and that sold out at $220. So congrats to Ellie Lowe there. Some works by DJ Kuro, some interesting analog video abstracts, trees, and kind of going multi-chain here. We can kind of see what looks like the tree in the blue and the pink, and then maybe a fence behind. And then we see this other version on Solana, a different variation on trees, Trees 3. So nice piece here. And then we see another version on Zora, Trees 2. So cool, kind of multi-chain series here. It was a nice, simple concept too, just doing trees and what looks like maybe a shadow or two trees together. Very nice work from Kuro. Exmortal, The Storm. Cool work from Exmortal of doing kind of a nature work here. And you see trees on a mountain there and some weather and beautiful textures. That is an edition of 10 for $666. And let's continue here. Kurt Hustle Collective. Continuing the American Hustle. See the CD. So keeping it wild here. You gotta love the outro here too. Just beautiful textures here, and even just the way it's almost like this is CNN, but done with American Hustle games. So that's 3 Tezos, edition of 13. So not a huge edition there. Walk, Dynamex, continuing the marijuana plant theme. One imagines, if I got it right. And so edition of 1, and again, you're getting Walk 1 of 1s for 2 Tezos. Here's Human Boy with a couple of cool works here. So this is, there's no title here, but interesting texture and theme. almost like a museum, but different, with the statue being kind of huge. And here's another one, statue almost coming to life a little bit. Kind of wild, ambiguous works here by Human Boy. Beautiful art, as Sahar says. And here's Psychofuturist, music that sounds the way you feel. So we've looked at a few of Psychofuturist's works. So here are some humanoids in the studio here. It looks like a huge Moog. And interesting work here, Eye in the Pyramid, and some CD turntables. And here's another one. Again, playing with the music theme. If you've never listened to music, this is a great time to give it a try. That's 17 Tezos. As we run through the rest of this episode here, kind of a Winamp user interface here. And continuing on, Sean Luke, Sharp Smiles. So this time having Cycling Through Skulls, an interesting frame here too. Edition of 11, selling out at 42 Tezos. So Sean Luke continues to deliver massive sales here. Acid Boy, Happy Sunday Fam. So just cool work by Acid Boy with different colors in there. Who also has a softer side, doing plein air, what looks like plein air landscape painting. Who knew Acid Boy was a landscape painter? Hilariously. Coda Nakazono, Continuum number 195, as we zoom through the rest of this. So a new abstract here, dynamic abstract from Coda, sold out at edition of 5, and that's sold out at 15 Tezos. Nice sale. Here's Renki with a cool experimental work, Odomari. So really playing with different colors on this one, and even just with the whole negative space. Edition of 1, not listed. And here is Helio Santos with a cool looking work. I think we've seen work by Helio Santos before with these, what look like birds or planes. They look like planes, don't they? Being recognized here by some sort of, AI surveillance camera type technology. And the bright red makes a cool painting, doesn't it? Makes a cool video painting. Nice short video, 3 seconds, and available on Zora, free mint. And here is Ruslan Vyaltsev, People Are Strange. So interesting work here, playing around with kind of CGI-looking shapes and also just digital painting on top. Looking like it's using a couple of different softwares here. So cool work there. And here is Amira Basadegi, who I think we discovered from the Object 98 drops, like the Adam and Eve work, I think. And so here's Adam and Eve again, but done with CGI. So there is the snake. I think it's the same composition, interestingly. And this is an open free mint. And then here's Canik Zapata with, this may have been burned, and I think it's AI, combination of AI and other technology here. This is a Civit AI generated image. So as we move into AI here, burned. And another AI artwork by Okot, Texa Wayakotl. And here we see what looks like maybe an Aztec, but not sure. Indigenous king, maybe on a laptop here. And beautifully done, like a woodcut in the 18th century, 17th century here, but done with AI. So beautiful looking work here. Beautiful drawing, AI drawing, selling for 20 Tezos. Nice sale, edition of 1. Here is Lily Illo, playing with human body shapes here, getting more kind of wild and abstract here, and chair parts. Exposed Risk, cool title, and great color, by the way, with this kind of pink and violet. Here's Anna Dart with a cool, I believe this is AI. And the skeleton here on the outside was noticeable for me here. So cool looking work. And look at the New York Yankees logo. It looks like AI, doesn't it? So interesting piece here from Anna Dart and Martin Joe, and here, who obviously I follow, GM Little Bears Got Coffee. So another coffee bear here with a purple, almost like a Willy Wonka type suit here, top hat, red top hat, and hanging out in the mountains with a purple sky and a beautiful spread here. Beautiful breakfast spread. Looks delicious. Bobicha Mattia, faster than ever. So check this out. So we've been looking at this artist for a couple of months now, at least. New composition here, playing with shoes. Usually we see what looks like a big Transformer Autobot, GoBot, or whatever you'd call it, kind of composition here. Big shoes, wild, faster than ever. 50 by 40. Another kind of very interesting composition here from this artist. If you smell burning oil, should you continue to use your vehicle? This is from 2018, so that's why it looks simpler. I thought this looked different. Didn't realize that's from 2018. Here's 2024. The Black Rhino acrylic and charcoal on unprimed canvas. Very nice looking work. And maybe that's how Bob gets these wonderful colors here, or sorry, textures, is from the unprimed canvas. Interesting. It's a lot trickier though. You need a lot more paint. Filippo Francocci, Exuvia. This was posted, I believe, in the community. So interesting combination of physical and digital, as you can see here. Digital artwork created with ink drawings, doodles, handwriting, and documents on paper. And already a few sold here and 4 left at 7 Tezos, so selling 11. And here's Maggie Margaret Cowles, this awesome artist here, doing more food, a really important theme, food and animals. I was thinking over the weekend. Like if you think of what Lascaux, the cave painting at Lascaux is, it's animals, and it's animals. And what are the animals about? It's about food. Animals and food. So interesting. Here, this looks like a vegetarian spread there, but we do have some eggs there. So anyways, Almeria, Andalusia, Spain, February 24th. Beautiful work here, as usual. Great subject. A couple by Moto 583, Moto Hero. A couple of surreal fish. And then here we just have more wild drawings. A skull eating a burger. Great style. Here at upside down turtle. Super interesting. Here's David Hales. And another interesting kind of watercolor work, No Arms and Worms, is from 2023. Here's Kazland with an interesting abstract or semi-abstract work or experimental artwork. Acrylic oil pastel, wax pastel, and pencil, 16 by 20 on wood panel. Interesting. And here's Luke Forsyth. I don't think we've seen them before, doing some flowers. Interesting composition. Here's another one, similar composition, different colors, twin sister. Nice piece. And here's Audrey Bialke with an interesting juxtaposition of a unicorn and a fire. So interesting structure here. Oil and mixed media on panel, 12 by 16, not huge. And this is pretty interesting. It's not gallery. Hibatula Sukma, young rich collector. Interesting work, because this is the kind of work you'd often see, that you might see in the rare Pepes, right? Or those cards, right, on Bitcoin. So interesting to see that as a painting. And Joachim Official, Good Day to Be Alive with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, almost looked like it's made out of broken shards here of pottery. It's a mosaic. How cool is that? How cool is that? So very impressive. Good Day to Be Alive. Beautiful. And here, It's Not Gallery, Natasha Perova. I'm No Longer Mentally Ill. And here we have a work that was posted in the community. Yote, maybe right person, wrong timing. So interesting, what looks like a physical here. And yeah, it doesn't say, a reserve of 0.25 ETH. And here, this is by Eloy. A cool physical here with a newborn baby and a flower. Nice, what looks like a watercolor. I believe a physical. And this was also posted in the community, I believe. This is WH, Nada Siempre Excepto Ahora. Interesting piece here. Just kind of an interesting piece posted on Zora, 3 minted. And again, kind of looks like a physical, doesn't it? But it is moving. So it is kind of sparkling a little bit. So it is a GIF. And that is your show, my friends. We're at hour 17. We're making progress here. I'm going to keep trying to winnow it down to at least like maximum an hour. Till next time, take care.